Fourth, and it is extraordinary that Johnny omits this, once the Europeans left, the Haitians invaded the Dominican Republic in 1822 and established a military dictatorship. The Haitians subjugated the Dominicans, banned their native language, and made it illegal for them to practice their traditions and customs. They tried to exterminate Dominican culture, and they might have succeeded had the Dominicans not fought for and successfully earned their independence in 1844. Why didn't you include this, Johnny? I guess the fact that Haitians oppressed Dominicans doesn't really fit into your narrative of relative Haitian victimhood, so you just left it out of your short film. Yeah, real honest reporting there, pal. And finally, the fifth glaring error, another lie by omission, and this time it's the point he makes about trade.
Because they were this first black republic, the world essentially isolated them. The United States didn't want to recognize the independence of a black nation. They thought it might become a slave empire and seek revenge.
Yeah, America recognized Haiti as an independent state in 1862, and it's been trading with the nation for over 150 years. Today, Haiti enjoys tariff-free access to the US economy for many of its exports. So according to you, Johnny, they're poor because America didn't trade with them for 60 years, but that 150 years of trade, much of it tariff-free, isn't a factor worth considering. Today, America not only trades with Haiti, but it now injects millions, sometimes even billions worth of dollars of aid into the nation every year. But I guess you have to leave this out because it doesn't really support your "the Haitians are victims of white racism" thesis, right, Johnny? But blatant misrepresentations and the rewriting of history aside, this explanation, the very root of it, as Johnny says, this attempt to blame today's impoverishment in Haiti on what the French did in the 1700s, it's desperate, to say the least. Loads of countries have been through much worse than Haiti, and more recently. Take Germany, for instance. In the last 100 years, they've lost 2 world wars and have seen their nation completely destroyed. Their country has been split up and divided by foreign powers on 2 separate occasions. After World War II, Eastern Germans were ethnically cleansed right across the European continent, and half the country and around half the German population within Germany were effectively imprisoned, shot if they tried to flee, subjected to the oppression of Soviet rule and the destitution of communism for over 40 years. And yet today, it has a highly developed social market economy, the largest national economy in Europe, and the 4th largest by nominal GDP in the world. How come the Germans could do this, but the Haitians can't? And would it make any sense to look at a current socioeconomic problem in Germany, say the increase in child poverty, and blame it on the Soviets? Let's just use your reasoning, Johnny. Would it make any sense to look at this issue and say, well, the Berlin Wall only came down in 1989, they were really put at a disadvantage? Or, well, they were bombed a lot during World War II. I mean, you'd be rightfully mocked if you made such a connection. There is no correlation between the suffering and oppression of the German people in the past and the child poverty rate within the country today. None. And yet with Haiti, economic failure in 2018 is blamed on colonization of the 1700s. The fact they can't organize a system for boat journeys, or build a road through a mountain, or run functional markets in their own country. This inability to function is explained away as a result of French rule. Well, they've only been independent for 200 years, and the US have only been trading with them for 150 years. Their soil used to be overfarmed. It's not their fault. Yeah, this is absurd. And here's another interesting tidbit before we move on. In the mid-20th century, the economies of the 2 countries, Haiti and the Dominican Republic, were comparable. Since that time, the Dominican economy has grown, whilst the Haitian economy has diminished. These places were on equal footing, and the disparity of wealth has only emerged more recently. So to explain why one is relatively well off while the other extremely poor, it makes very little sense to go all the way back to the 1700s, don't you think? So shut up about colonization. It's a lousy excuse. There is no correlation.
That racism isn't just embedded into Haiti's history. It is in fact very alive today. As I drive up the border, by coincidence my driver is also a Dominican Border Patrol official. We have hours in the car where he slowly and cautiously tells me about how immigration policy has changed in the Dominican Republic in recent years.
¿Qué pasa, Johnny? El Estado Dominicano ha tomado una decisión de saber regularizar, saber dónde están los haitianos que están en República Dominicana, saber dónde están y saber cuántos son y en qué sitio están cada uno. Ahí nace el programa de regularización.
Regularization program. That's a euphemism. He's talking about a policy of targeting anyone of Haitian descent, even citizens, rounding them up and deporting them. The Dominican Constitution that was drafted in 1929 says that anyone born in the country is automatically a citizen, even if your parents were undocumented immigrants. This is the same in places like the United States. But the DR rewrote its constitution in 2010 to only give citizenship to those born on DR soil to legal residents. Then in 2013, the High Court in the DR ruled that this new definition would be applied retroactively, all the way back to 1929, meaning any citizen who had been born in the DR to undocumented parents would have their citizenship revoked. More than 200,000 Dominican citizens were suddenly stateless. Dominican law said that if these stateless people wanted to stay in the DR, they would have to go to a government office and put their name on this foreigner registry. The government gave these people 1 year to either get their name on the registry or face deportation. Over 55,000 have been officially deported since the June 2015 deadline. The UN estimates that 128,000 people have voluntarily fled to Haiti, a country many of them have never lived in. Some came here to this camp on the border, where they've been living in limbo for years.
Having 200,000 people being able to vote in an election could change an outcome.
Pendant là, nous dormons, j'ai nous fermé, mais nous ne pas pendant nous avons levé pour d'haïtiens. Que nous toujours à sauter, nous pensons qu'on va vivre pour nous, qu'on va maltraiter nous, qu'on va tuer nous tout, peut-être grand pile.
You know, for people who've never lived in Haiti and for folks who've apparently been born in the Dominican Republic, it is pretty curious that none of them are speaking Spanish and Creole appears to be their native tongue. I mean, why is that? If they're integrated Dominicans, wouldn't they be speaking Spanish? I don't know that you're lying. I'm just saying, yeah, I'm saying you're lying, Johnny. I'm saying you're misrepresenting who these people are.
The moment